Welcome back to another episode of Extreme Metal Television. I'm your host, Dr. Gore, and in this week's episode, we got a chance to talk to Toronto Thrashers Fatality, and we also got to go behind the scenes on the Orphan Hammer video shoot. But the big news this week, Napalm Death rolled through town, and we got a chance to talk to Barney Greenway. But before we get to that, why don't we kick things off with a band profile.
Abriosis was formed in 2007 in Vancouver, British Columbia. The band has released 2 albums, 2008's self-titled EP and 2011's Tattered and Bound, which the band released as a free download.
We thought it would be the best way to promote ourselves as a band in light of kind of how the music industry has been going the last couple of years. We thought it was a better way to get people out to the shows instead of having to promote ourselves and only, let people stream the songs and not be able to check it out. Just give them the whole album, get them to the show.
You guys shot a video for As a Shepherd Spites. What was that experience like?
Good, quick.
Quick?
Yeah.
Yeah, a friend of ours was finishing up, what was it, like video school or film. Yeah. So he approached us and asked if we would do a video with him. Like, yeah, sure, right? Like, and he already had ideas, and he had the specific song he wanted to do, and all we had to do was invest a bit of time, like one night, a couple hours. So we're like, sure, just loaded up the studio and loaded up our gear and went to his studio. That was it.
Yeah. And he got the best mark in the class, right?
Yeah. And he got a teaching job. He got a teaching job out of it too in the summer. So he did great.
We were his resume.
Yeah.
The artwork on Tattered and Bound is pretty fucking incredible. Who did that? Who was behind that?
That was my girlfriend, Allison Lilly. You can check her out at Allison Lilly at blogspot.com and all over the internet. Just put her name in, Allison Lilly. She's a artist that does multimedia, painting, drawing, whatever. So she was the one that did it. Yeah. Did all of it. It started off as a painting, and then we just transferred it over to the digital format. But it's mostly actually by hand, most of it. Yeah.
Abriosis just announced they have a brand new vocalist. Alexis Ness from Without Mercy is going to be doing double duty in both bands. Can't wait to check out that new lineup live. The mighty Napalm Death just finished up a cross-Canada tour. Now the interesting thing about that tour is that they went out on the road by themselves, using only local bands as support. They also hit up a lot of smaller venues that bands like Napalm Death don't usually get to. We asked Barney Greenway why they decided to go on the road this way.
Well, because I think that we as a band try to think, on a bit more wider scale, It would be obvious to just come and do Toronto, Montreal, and at a push Vancouver, but what's the point? Might as well. If there are other people out there willing to take gigs, why not do it? If people are happy to take us, fine. And as a result, it's been good. Because the longevity of Napalm, to a certain extent, I believe, is because we've found a lot more to do with ourselves. We don't just play the same touring circuits over and over. We've always found different places around the world, and even where there wasn't particularly a history of any concerts, we'll just see if we can get someone put on a gig. And so that's the way we've always played it. And it works. And if you go into these places, like smaller places and stuff, people appreciate it, and we appreciate it in return, because people are always sort of happy to see us, I think, at least,
when can we expect to see the new Napalm album?
Well, I mean, I think it's sort of fairly common knowledge now that it's almost done. A lot of people actually think it's done and dusted in the bag, but it isn't. There's still a few things that need to be ironed out. So, yeah, but it will be shortly. It will be like February, March time. February, March, maybe April, depends, you know, because these things are never set in stone.
Yeah.
Record companies say they are, but they're not, you know, so. But I'm not saying that because it's like half done. It's musically and mix-wise, it's pretty much there, you know, it just needs a few other things to sort of fall into place for us.
Is there a title for it yet?
No, we haven't actually 100% fallen on that yet, so.
Now, musically and lyrically, what can we expect from this new album as far as being
different? Well, I can give you a brief sort of overview. I mean, what I've tried to do is I'm covering many of the topics that I've probably done before, but I've tried to sort of remove myself from it and looked at it from a psychological aspect. You know, the whole thing about, I don't know, I spend my life sort of trying to do things for what I feel is right. I always step back whenever I do something and go, am I doing this? Should I do this? Is the first thing. Am I doing it? Is what I'm doing kind of ethical? I suppose, you know. I spend my life doing that. I'm not kidding, you know, because it matters to me. That matters to me. That stuff. So I'm stepping outside of that, and because I think it's human nature that we have self-doubt in what we do sometimes. So I'm stepping outside and asking a few questions about myself and whether things really make a difference, you know. So it's kind of analytical, you know, this one.
Napalm Death released their first album, Scum, back in 1987. Now the band's getting set to release their 15th studio album, Utilitarian. That one's going to be coming out early next year, February, I believe. We asked Brendan Greenway, after such a long career, what keeps him motivated?
Don't look at it a career.
Yeah.
Don't look at it as a career is the first answer I would give. You got to enjoy it, man. You have to enjoy it. You know what? I've seen bands, and I won't name names, it's not fair, but I've seen bands going through the motions. I know they're going through the motions. You can tell when you've been in a band for as long as I have. You can tell when bands are going through the motions. And if that was me in that position, I wouldn't want to do it. What's the point, you know? Because you're psychologically you're not giving your best. You know, you're not able to give your best either in playing gigs or writing music. So why do it? Why give a half an account of yourself? You know. So yeah, I just still enjoy it. And again, I'll be quite honest and open about it. There may come a time when that's not the case anymore for any one of us or any combination of the full band members. Yeah. And when that happens, for me, I can only answer for myself. I'll stop. You know, I won't do it anymore. I won't do something that I can't be fully, you know, enthusiastic about, fully driven by. You know, so yeah.
Now, Napalm Death's always been a politically and socially conscious band. Do you think, with the state of the world today, that delivering like that sort of message is more important, or?
Well, politics again. You know, politics is a weird one because if you take politics by the usual definition, which is like the mainstream definition of, we're nothing to do with that, you know, we're nothing to do with, you know, sort of the regular way politics. So the way I kind of see it is we are a humane band, you know, and that might sound a little bit strange to some people, but for me at least, the whole thing about humanity has kind of been lost a little bit, you know, through the ages, and now people are almost, not everybody, but there is an alarming number of situations in the world where people will do literally anything to get one over on other people, you know. And so we're sort of, I'm trying to really push the human angle, you know. That's sort of my thing with that, really. So it's always important. It never becomes more or less important to me. It is always important, even when there might be periods where people think in the wider world things have gone a little quiet or whatever. For me, there's always things, because being a human being and seeing things from beyond your own eyes gives a world of challenges, you know, and there are always things to respond to, observe and respond to, and scratch you know, scratch the surface and see what's really going on now.
All right, this is James.
This is Sean.
This is Sasha. We're from Divinity, and you're watching
Extreme Metal Television.
Calgary instrumental metalers Orphan Hammer recently shot a video for the track Pyrrhic Victory off their debut album. We asked the band why they decided to go with that song.
Personally, I think it's one of the stronger songs on CD, and I don't know, it just seemed like most fitting to have a video for.
Now, how do you come up for a concept for a song like Pyrrhic Victory, it being an instrumental, not having lyrics? How do you figure out what you're going to shoot?
This particular video came at a perfect time for me because I was doing some other videos where I was like, I really wanted to showcase the musicmanship, like the way metal heads are moving in their headbanging and the way that they're kind of stanced. And this particular song, after Colin and I were talking a little bit about what the song's about victory and kind of after a war, after a battle kind of thing, almost kind of like a celebration. So we found this location, which is behind us here, which is a really neat backdrop of an old warehouse. And we just are basically, the concept is filming each band member very still, very carefully, not a lot of jittery, not a lot of handheld movement like a lot of rock videos, and focusing our energy on trying to capture that kind of glorified, over-glorified motion that when someone's headbanging and someone's moving in certain ways, it's really capturing those kinds of movements. And so it's not telling a story, it's kind of showcasing a celebration of music and just the way they're moving as musicians, and kind of having a really cool backdrop.
Director Doug Cook has worked with the likes of Divinity and The Unraveling, and it was recently announced that he'd be shooting a video for Death's Pull the Plug. Just a few months ago, he helmed a video for Control Denied's Breaking the Broken. We asked him how that all came about.
That came about, I did a video before that for the Calgary band Divinity, and Divinity knows Death and Control Denied's actually they're still the manager. His name's Eric Reif, who lives in Calgary, and Divinity introduced me to him because I did a video for Divinity, and Eric called me up and said he really liked what he saw and he wanted to meet with me and talk about Control Denied, so that's how that all came to be.
We caught up with Toronto Thrashers Fatality this summer when they rolled through town in support of their TFES EP. Now the band handled the recording process on that one themselves. We asked them why they decided to go that route.
These days, it costs so much to go to a studio and get stuff done. If you can figure out how to do it yourself, you're way better off. Me and Suarez actually went to school for it after high school to learn how to do that stuff. And I mean, ultimately, probably would have sounded a lot better had we done it in like a real professional studio. But I think we at least captured something with the album. You know what I mean? Having done it ourselves, it kind of has enough dirt on it, enough of that flair, enough of that youthful kind of twang to it. I don't know. I still stand by it. I think it's a good album.
Well, I thought it sounded good, and it did sound a little rough around the edges, but I think the band, like, being what you guys sound like, that is how, like, if it was a crystal clear sound, it wouldn't, I don't think that sort of production would suit the band.
I joined the band right around the time we started recording it, so I think it was really important that we captured that, you know, it was very fresh, it was very just, you know, that first album, that dirty rock kind of sound, you know, and it's also a time in this age where we have the technology to do it ourselves, and it's pretty important that people get to, you know, capitalize on that, so.
Now, Fatality's music is heavy, thrashy, intense, but it's also fun.
What goes into creating your sound?
Gee, we just like to have fun, you know. We've never really taken ourselves too seriously in terms of, you know, the lyrical content of our music, or, you know, the technicality of the riffs. Like, you know, we take ourselves seriously, but we're not afraid to write about stuff that is, you know,
not dragons,
not morbid, evil,
or not
shit,
based
you know,
all
like,
on one theme.
We kind of just do what we want, you know. We'll sing about what we want and write songs how we want, and we like to have fun, so we like to write music that we have fun playing, and that's kind of how it always ends up.
I mean,
we go by feel.
It's not
that we went by to say, let's just be like, you know, that fun band. It's just, no, we're a bunch of fun guys. We like to hang out, we're young, we like to party, you know what I mean? So the music just kind of goes hand in hand with it, you know what I mean? It's kind of like a sonic representation of what we do, you know what I mean? Who we are as people.
Yeah.
Instrumentally, we do challenge ourselves, though, of course. I pride myself as a drummer to, like, make sure I always try to do the hardest thing that I can't do at the time and challenge myself and surprise myself and the other ones in the band. And we also just try to make the most wicked thrash we can.
Yeah. Alright, that is going to do it for another episode of Extreme Metal Television. I'd like to thank you all for watching, and I'd like to thank my co-host King for doing all the legwork. Now why don't we leave you off with some live Napalm Death, and until next time, see ya.
So next up, friends, is a song for peace, okay? Peace is a wonderful fucking thing on every level, okay? Because for one, in all my years, I'm sick and tired of seeing people fucking fighting in any circumstances. It's fucking tedious, man, you know what I mean? It's really tedious. So, conversely, an anti-war song, because we also know that war is fucking stupid, okay? It's something that benefits one set of people, those on the fucking top. Everybody else underneath suffers every fucking time, okay? Continuing war on stupidity! It's only one more to end all war. It's only beyond. Weapons of life, get out of focus. We're talking more. Weapons of passion, and no more death. Get